keep moving, keep rioting, keep looting. We all know how the boys in blues and he didn't have a gun, but they still did shooting. Dig deep in the sea where the truth is. Intelligence, we're not stupid. Balaclava, time's a peak. Robbing these banks before they rob me. The city's on fire, we burnt it down. Took one of ours, who's hiding now? Babylon is moving like a dirty cow, so we pinch that bitch with a dirty mouth. Violate and air them out. Empty the strap that was flirting out. Empty the strap when I turn around. When I'm running, better put the word up. Keep running, keep moving, keep fighting, keep looting. Injustice is nothing new, so we play this tune at the next revolution. Keep running, keep moving, keep writing, keep looting. Injustice is nothing new, so we play this tune at the next revolution. This is my proclamation, anonymous occupation. It's happening across the nation. First we from the station. Flames getting higher than the price of gas. Loot that shop for some lighter gas. All stand back, then we strike a match. Charge that attack for my council tax. We're gonna go in tonight. Go hard or go home and die. Don't lie, that uprising begins tonight. Slew them, catch them, skin them alive. With the furrow in my ice bezel, fresh out suited. And these nice shoes I've looted. No love, we just kill Cupid. Keep moving, I will keep. Keep running, keep moving, keep rioting, keep looting. Injustice is nothing new, so we play this tune at the next revolution. Keep running, keep moving, keep rioting, keep looting. Injustice is nothing new, so we play this tune at the next revolution. Keep running, keep moving, keep rioting, keep looting. Injustice is nothing new, so we play this tune at the next revolution. Keep running, keep moving, keep rioting, keep looting. Injustice is nothing new, so we play this tune at the next revolution. This is my proclamation, anonymous occupation. It's happening across the nation. First we on the station. This is my proclamation, anonymous occupation. It's happening across the nation. First we on the station. Yo, they say right is a voice and a voiceless, see? Keep running, keep moving, keep rioting, keep looting. If we never burn down this place, yeah, they wouldn't be thinking about nothing. There wouldn't be no inquest on nothing. Because people rose up. Right is the voice of the voices. Don't let them tell you no different. Martin Luther King said that. Right is the voice of the voices. And when they're ready, they want to celebrate Martin Luther King. But they don't want to celebrate that piece there. That's very important. Yeah? Because when you ain't got nothing left, you're prepared to die, you're prepared to go and get nicked, you're prepared to get whatever. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna murder the man on the road, and then had some bullshit inquest that even the coroner thought, what the fuck's going on here? Excuse my language. You understand what I'm saying? It's a madness. I don't think you have to sense into nonsense. You get what I'm saying? It's a madness. I'm gonna play one more track that I'm out of here. Next one.
Yeah, can I just ask everyone to come forward, please? We need to let them buses go through for the moment, and they're going to redirect them. Can everyone come forward, please? Can we get that road clear? Thank you, thank you, thank you.
What were you doing in my swore during the live shot? So just, apologies,
One, two. Yo,
off the basketball court in Turnpike Lane.
One, two.
Let them few bus through, they're going to redirect the traffic, man.
Yo, turn this up. This one's dedicated to Mark still. It's a remembrance thing. Remember our loved ones, we're gonna remember everyone that we've lost to police. Yo, catch it. Let me tell you about my youth and some of the memories I know. 85 body popping, carrying lino. Never knew that I'd grow wise and old. Thought it couldn't happen. That murder it's a shanty hitting a high note. Watch the older getting high on the high road. Laughing at winos, weed in the diamond socks. Back pockets where the butterfly knife goes. 5 penny. I used to, way before crime captivated my mind. Find me running in the sunshine, searching for fun times. Never knew about no politics and once in a while they'll have a fight, but only sometimes. Summer nights illuminated by the street lights. Older crooks are educating youngsters. Wishing every night could be like this. Till I hear my dad's looking for my ass with a stick. And I remember you, remember me, remember you, remember me, remember you, remember me, remember. Yo, I remember you, remember me, remember you, remember me, remember you, remember. Yo, RIP Rock Mark Duggan, see? Big up to the movement still, it don't stop here at all. No justice, no peace. Keep running, keep moving. Stafford, big up yourself every time, see?
brother.
Yeah, man.
Enough respect, brother. Enough respect. Alright, people. Alright. So the reason we're here is because of what happened 4 years ago. The police killed Mark Duggan. Now many people will tell us that we've had our inquest, we've had our time, and we've had our verdict. But those people who are going to be telling us these things, they actually didn't attend the inquest. They didn't hear what we heard, and they didn't see what we saw. If you watched the program recently called The Met, that bit of pop, that bit of PR for the Metropolitan Police Service, you'd have seen the faces of senior police officers at Scotland Yard as they waited for that verdict. You would have heard that when the jury said Mark Duggan was unarmed, the head of Trident said that's not good. And when he heard that the verdict was lawful killing, he had to double check himself. And he had to ask his officers, what was that they said, unlawful or lawful? He was in shock. Just like we were in shock. Just like those of us who went to the inquest were in shock. Because we sat there for 3 months. For 3 months we'd heard not one witness come into that inquest and tell the jury that Duggan could have possibly thrown away a gun. For 3 months we sat there and we heard expert after expert give an opinion that it was possible for a man who was shot, for a man who was dead, to throw a gun 12 feet away from his dying body. But nobody in that courtroom ever offered any evidence to suggest that Mark threw away the gun. We say that for the jury to come to the decision that they did, that was clearly a perverse decision. We say that the jury came to that decision, A, because they didn't believe the version of the police officers. The police officers said that Duggan came out of minicab, gun in hand, and they aimed it at them, and after they shot him once, he spun, gun still in hand, and they had to shoot him again. What people don't understand is this. There were 11 armed officers at the spot where Mark got shot. Of those 11 trained armed officers, only 3 of them claimed to have seen Duggan with a gun. 3 out of 11. And all of them are looking at Duggan and all of them are looking for the gun. One of them, W42, he said that he was so close to Mark that when Mark got shot, he caught him and he brought him to the ground. And we proved as he brought him to the ground, he questioned him. And guess what the last question was he asked of the dying man? He asked him, where is the gun? Now if you just saw a man with a gun in his hand and the man has been shot, you're a trained officer of many years, is that the first question or the only question you're going to ask? Where is the gun? When they took him to the ground, we was able to prove that they searched him, all of his pockets. And when questioned about why they were searching him, they said, we were looking for the gun. Now how can they be looking for the gun that they just saw in a man's hand? What sense does that make? I was personally told by the commissioner of the IPCC, the organisation that was allegedly investigating what happened here 4 years ago, the police officers told other police officers that they'd seen a police officer throw the gun. Later on they said that there was no evidence. Later on they said it was just a crime of scenes officer who was musing to herself, how did the gun get there? Maybe the police officer threw the gun himself. What we now know is this. At the inquest into the murder of Mark Duggan, the killing of Mark Duggan, we know that the jury was misled. We know that the jury was misled on several counts. The first thing we know, and if you've seen the article in the Mail on Sunday written, and the Mail on Sunday is not our friend, the Mail on Sunday has never been a friend of Tottenham, never been a friend of poor people, never been a friend of black people. But if you read David Rose's article in the Mail on Sunday, he tells you clearly that the person who had the gun and passed the gun to Mark Duggan was under the control of Operation Trident. That Trident did everything possible that day to mask his identity from the rest of the Metropolitan Police Service. In so doing, Trident officers want us to believe that they went to capture Mark Duggan, who they say was one of the top 48 gangsters in Europe. They left armed officers sitting in Wood Green, Quicksilver, whilst they went to the scene. And let me tell you this, they've always told us that they followed Mark Duggan's minicab to the scene. That's a lie. They were there, waiting for Duggan. When his minicab arrived, and let me tell you, the road was Vicarage Road. When his minicab arrived, they were there, 4 carloads of Trident officers. They claim in the inquest that the handover didn't take place there. But the minicab driver, independent, Somalian brother, no axe to grind, clearly said this is where Mark Duggan met a young man and took hold of the box. The coroner's council said if Mark Duggan took hold of the box on that road, then Operation Trident saw it. And we believe that they saw it. And we believe they tried to stop it. And we believe that when they didn't, that's when they called in CO-19 to execute and kill Duggan. Because he had seen them. He had seen that they were dealing with the guy who had just passed in the box. And their dirty tricks was out. We do not believe that this was a scheme just to trap Mark Duggan. We believe that this is what Trident's been doing for a long time. We believe that Trident has been allowing sharks to control firearms and put those firearms on the streets in the hands of young black kids to kill other young black kids so that they could then arrest them and so they could get their targets up.
Yes!
Now some people are going to say that I'm crazy.
No!
But here it is. Trident closed down in 2012. That year, there was a record amount of shootings on the streets of London. Every year since Trident closed down, every year since Trident's demise as the murder squad for the black community, the special service for the black community, shootings in London have gone down. So then now there's no special squad and shootings have gone down. The only reason that we can surmise that this is happening, and it's not because the police are getting better at stopping it happening before it happens, is because the police are not allowing the guns to be on the streets so that our youth can get them and use them against young people who look like them. We say that that behaviour and that style of policing is not justice. So we say, no justice,
No peace!
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 no justice.
No peace!
666 is the mark of the beast. Turn it around and you get the police. No justice,
No peace!
no justice,
No peace!
no justice,
No peace!
no justice.
No peace!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
Mark Duggan, rest in soul, is not the only person. He's not the only person that we've come to this police station to remember. He's not the only person that you come to this police station to mourn. Yeah. We've started this tribute, we've started this ritual in October 1985 when the police went into the home of Cynthia Jarrett, pushed her over, stepped over her, didn't phone an ambulance, and watched that woman die.
Murdered her.
And then they killed Joy Gardner using 14 feet of masking tape. What the hell are police doing on a raid with masking tape in the first place? 14 feet of masking tape that they wrapped around and around and around her mouth and her nose until she died. And then they came and they did the same to Roger Sylvester. 12 police officers choked the living daylights out of that boy. They choked him until he couldn't breathe no more. And then they told Mark Duggan. And what have they all got in common? Every time they kill one of us, this is what they say. They say Cynthia Jarrett was the largest, most unhealthy woman that we'd ever seen in our life. They said Joy Gardner was the strongest woman that they'd ever come across in her life. They said Roger Sylvester put up such a fight, for hours he put up such a fight, that eventually he just combusted. He just combusted because he fought ever so hard, and they'd never fought anyone as strong as him. And with Mark Duggan, they say he was one of the 48 baddest men in Europe. Why is it that every time we come into contact with the police, our body size seems to magnify? Why is it the minute they see a young black man, if they see a young black man with a cucumber, they'll shoot him and say that he had a gun? They will say it was their honestly held belief that they were in danger, and they will take that life. And why is it that England is in denial about this happening to us on a regular basis?
Black lives matter.
Black lives certainly matter, and not just in America. And we don't want to go to the levels of policing that they've gone to in America for everybody to stand up and recognize that Black lives matter. We want to stop it now. We want justice now. We need justice now. We're not going to take no more. We're going to fight, and we're going to fight, and we're going to return, and we're going to come back, and we're going to demand justice for our fallen ones. Now, I made a few women cry here today. I want everyone to give a big hand to Myrna Simpson. Myrna is the mother of Joy Gardner. And Myrna has been fighting how many years now, my sister? 22 years. This beautiful, decent, hard-working Christian mother, grandmother, should be enjoying her twilight years with her children and grandchildren. But instead she is forced to come out here to remember. She's forced to try and find justice for her daughter. Her daughter, whose inquest has never been completed. They tell you that anyone dies in this country, you must get an inquest and you must get an outcome. Will you tell this woman that? Because that's not the justice that she has had. Sis, do you want to say a few words to them? Sister Myrna will say a few words eventually. She's not feeling strong at the moment. But let's remember Joy Gardner. We will 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 remember Cynthia Jarrett. We will remember
Cynthia Jarrett.
We will remember
Cynthia Jarrett.
We will remember
Cynthia Jarrett.
We will remember
Cynthia Jarrett.
We will remember Roger Sylvester.
Roger Sylvester.
We will remember Roger Sylvester.
Roger Sylvester.
We will remember
Roger Sylvester.
What do we want?
Justice.
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 No justice?
No peace.
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 But we're not just navel gazing in Tottenham. We know that we're not the only ones that suffered. We know that we're not the only symbolic location in London. Back in the 80s, Sir Kenneth Newman, Commissioner of Police, brought over from Ireland, came to teach the Metropolitan Police how to police black communities. And when he did so, he identified several symbolic locations. Tottenham is one, but also Brixton is another but symbolic location. They say it's a symbolic location for our resistance, but we think they're symbolic locations for the suffering and the pain that we've endured in these boroughs. So I'm going to hand over now to a sister of Sean Riggs. Do you know about Sean Riggs?
Yes!
Have you heard about Sean Riggs? Well, his sister Marcia Rigg is here. And this is a sister, strongest any I've ever met. This is a sister who has decided not to allow the police to tell lies and vilify her brother. This is a sister who decided she's not going to allow the police to get away with maligning her brother because he suffered from a mental condition. And today, I honor her, because this is the sister that has got the Home Secretary to call a Home Secretary's review into black deaths in police custody. This is the sister that everybody needs to listen to. Big hands to Marcia Rigg.
No justice!
No peace.
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 What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Justice.
When do we want it?
Now.
When?
Now.
When?
Now.
When?
Now.
Pamela, we're here today to remember your son. And again, I give you my condolences, and I really do understand your pain. Mom, I understand your pain. My sister, I understand all of your pains here. My brother was Sean Rigg, who died in August 2008, so it's almost 7 years. It's taken 7 years to get one of the officers charged with perjury. Charged with perjury. And it was a really, really, really hard fight, I'm telling you. I just want to see him understand that they're Old Bailey. And if I've got anything to do with it, guess what? He's going down! And I hope he will be the first officer that goes down for a death in custody. No, it's not for the death. This is just for perjury. And I'm not sure, but I think it may be the first case of an officer that's been charged for perjury in a death in custody. Yeah. And the rest. And I can't really say much more about that right now, but the first date of the hearing is at Westminster Magistrates Court on the 8th of September. And the trial will follow forthwith, whenever that will be, as quickly as possible, as far as I'm concerned. Now, Sean had a mental health issue back in the 70s and 80s in this country. A lot of our young black men were put into the mental health system via the police. Via the police. And injected. And never returned back to the way we knew them as. They're not madder than anybody else. But they always seem to come out of the system madder or dead. And it is a fact that over half the deaths in police custody are our young black men with mental health issues. What does that say? For me, it's modern day lynching. Slow deaths. 20 years and then they killed him. Hello? And Sean is not the first one. Roger Sylvester.
Yes.
Yeah? The list is voluminous. Voluminous. I can't recall everybody's name. But it is a real hard struggle for families that goes on for decades. And they've been killing our loved ones for decades. They don't just kill black people, they kill their own too. The poor working class, they kill their own. Yeah? And we all have to stick together as one and fight down this system because it is unjust. It is immoral. It is not right. It's a death. It's the most insult that anybody could give you. And it's bad enough to lose a loved one by state custody. But my God, it's the aftermath, to try to find the answers, to try to find the evidence, the documents, the CCTV footage, the police officers' notebooks. There's a regular pattern in every single one of the cases. CCTV wasn't working. CCTV wasn't working in all of the cases. Does that make any sense? Not even one. John Charles and Menezes, of all the stations, every CCTV was working except at Stockwell. Hello. We are not stupid. We are not stupid, but collectively, we are powerful. Very powerful. Now, Theresa May, who I met back in January privately with the Shani Lewis family. Shani Lewis is also a mental health case. It's almost 6 years before he's going to get his inquest, where 11 officers came into a mental health hospital and restrained him for up to 11 officers restrained him for up to 45 minutes. In the hospital. They actually will come in the hospital now, riot gear, into a hospital setting. Now that cannot be right. Right, we can't get legal aid to represent our families automatically, where the police officers get automatic funding for the inquest, from start to finish, from the public purse or from the Federation, and we have to go through intrusive, very intrusive means testing. They want to know what color underwear you're wearing, literally. They want to know if you've got money under the floorboards in your bedroom, literally. And they want the whole family and their partners to be scrutinized for legal aid. That is an imbalanced injustice. We haven't got the same balance to gain justice like the police. It's ridiculous. Why should we have to pay? My family were asked to contribute £21,000 to have legal representation at Sean's inquest. £21,000. Look, I refuse. We refused. Why should we have to pay to find out how our loved one died when they're in their hands? Yeah? To get the autopsy, a state autopsy is done like the next day. Many families, including mine, do not even get the opportunity to identify the body before the state conducts an autopsy. And you're exactly. They do all foolishness. There was 5 officers in my brother's autopsy. Police officers in the autopsy that the state did. Yeah, and we hadn't even identified him. things like this, is the system, the justice is in the loopholes, to break down the loopholes that they try to give us to stop us from getting justice. An officer going to prison is not enough. It is not enough, right? They need to change the system. And this is the inquiry that Theresa May has said that she will do. Now we have to welcome that with caution. Yeah? There have been reviews collecting dust in this country for decades. Recommendations made for decades, yet none of them have been implemented. Why? The work is already done. Theresa May, the work is already done. Get them implemented and acted upon now. So this review must be robust and transparent, and must be the review that makes real effective change to help the families when they lose a loved one in custody. We need legal aid automatically. Automatic from the beginning, so that we're on the same footing as the police, or the prison officers, or the immigration officers, the state. It is imbalanced. Yet our loved one died in their care. How does that make sense? Yeah? They can't just retire anymore. None of them can retire in my brother's case anyway. They're not going nowhere. Nowhere! One of them wanted to become a priest in the Church of England, P.C. Burks. Go online and read about the case. I had to get that reversed. Reversed, and he's suspended. You're not going nowhere, you're going on the stand. And let the jury decide. Let the jury decide. But the Church of England are waiting for the whole proceedings to be finished, and then they're going to ordain him. Really? Really? And now it's cameras in the police vehicles. That was announced last week, where I've had meetings with the Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police. United Families and Friends have been campaigning, and other families, for cameras in police vehicles, where there's brutalities, where the deaths happen, behind closed doors in the back of their police vehicles. It's 2015. There's cameras on the bus, there's cameras in the taxi, there's cameras on us right now. Why aren't they in police vans? Why not? No! So very shortly there'll be 5 cameras in every Metropolitan Police vehicle in London.